Hey everybody, Justin Boone from theScore. We've seen a couple big trades go down in the NFL over the last week and a half. Carlos Hyde went to the Jaguars, Amari Cooper off to the Cowboys, and there's always significant fantasy fallout from deals like that. Nick Chubb, Jordy Nelson, even Martavis Bryant, they all saw their fantasy stock rise because of those trades. So let's try to find three players who could also see their value rise dramatically if their teams decide to make a deal. And let's start with Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton was drafted by the Broncos to be their future #1 receiver, and guess what? That future might be coming sooner than we think. He's played pretty well. He's flashed over the last 3 weeks, has 2 touchdowns, and there's rumors and reports that Demaryius Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders, maybe even both, could be dealt before the trade deadline. The Broncos are denying it, obviously, but it makes a lot of sense. Sutton could step up as the season goes on. All he needs, more snaps, more targets. John Elway, do not make us wait until next season to see him break out. Let's get that trade done and let's get him more playing time. Another guy who could see his value go up here, Chris Ivory. We don't always recommend picking up or playing Bills players in fantasy, but there's been a lot of rumors and reports around LeSean McCoy potentially getting dealt. Now, the situation's a little bit muddled right now because McCoy suffered a head injury on the weekend, so he's in concussion protocol, but assuming he gets cleared before the trade deadline, it makes a lot of sense as well for the Bills to move on from him. He's 30 years old. The Bills aren't going to be contending for anything other than a high pick for next season, maybe a couple seasons. They should move on from him because Ivory's actually played pretty well, and the opportunities that he's had, games where he's gotten 15 touches or more. One happened in week 3. He had 126 yards from scrimmage in that game. And then the most recent game when McCoy went out, 106 total yards. So Ivory's not going to be a star in fantasy, but he could be a fantasy starter if McCoy gets moved before the deadline. And the last guy I want to talk about, and you got to hear me out on this one, it's LeVeon Bell. So LeVeon Bell, we don't know when he's going to report. Certainly doesn't look like he's going to report before the trade deadline. So we don't know. Week 9, week 10, who knows? Maybe he'll sit out the whole season at this point. The Steelers are obviously frustrated with him. And I think when he comes back, we're looking at a timeshare with James Conner, maybe even Bell serving as Conner's backup. Conner's played extremely well. Obviously, the franchise loves him, and he's probably going to be their starter moving forward from next season and beyond. So I think the best chance at having Bell maximize his fantasy value would be a trade. And there's a couple teams out there, I mean, who knows where he could go, but there's a couple teams out there that are leading their divisions, the Patriots, the Texans. They could both be in the market for a running back. We'll see what happens with Sony Michel's health in New England, but Bell has his best chance in fantasy at this point basically would be to get moved to another team. If fantasy owners are looking for him to put up what we've expected from him, which is RB1 type numbers, his best chance is going to be doing that for another team now. If you're looking for more fantasy advice, make sure you're checking theScore app daily, and you can follow me on Twitter @Justin Boone.